Welcome back. It's the first Takedown podcast. It's 2026, and I'm Alex alongside of Hunter. Hunter, Happy New Year, dude.
Happy New Year, man. Yeah, we both took some time off. Fortunately for us, the holiday season for wrestling used to be like awesome, and now it's kind of not awesome. So you can take a little time off and relax a little bit and kind of take in the results and not do as much. I went on a little trip, and I know you're getting ready for some life stuff coming up. So we took some time off from the full grind of watching dual meets, and we got into the little bit of the tournament season, and now it's 2026, about to get into conference dual season. Best time of the year.
Yeah, you're right. It was like you have all these tournaments, and I remember being like, even growing up, I'm like, oh, I want to watch every match, like the Southern Scuffle, and then, we both wrestled in it, and like thinking back, like Midlands, and now you got Soldier Salute, and we hit on it before, right? A little bit of like the dying of like the mid-season tournament, I think. What is the like a quick summary of like why do you think that has gone down so much? It's not what it used to be.
Well, I'll say a couple of reasons why. I think that it can be attributed to a lot of things. I don't necessarily think it was just one thing that was like, oh, this is why they're taking a turn. But I can remember when it started to kind of change is when you had some of the bigger programs that stopped doing the tournaments in what do you want to call them? The holiday tournaments, the New Year tournaments. Penn State religiously went to the Southern Scuffle. And then when they started having issues with scheduling for the Big Ten schedule, because the Big Ten sets their conference schedule, right? And so it would basically be Southern Scuffle, and then the next weekend was your first conference match. Or, it'd be on like a Thursday or a Friday. And so I think they just didn't really want to run those into each other. They already wrestle a tough schedule. You get into the Big Ten dual schedule, it's a gauntlet, and then you go into the Big Ten tournament, and then you go into the national tournament. So I think just for their guys, and I'm not attributing this all to Penn State, right? But partially that was one of the first dominoes. And then I think other people and other teams started to follow that a little bit. I'll also say COVID. COVID was a factor in that as well. And then the Soldier Salute taking Iowa away from the Midlands. Iowa always traditionally went to the Midlands, and now they don't go there. And then I'll say the last thing is kind of that red shirt rule. The Southern Scuffle changed their rules, and I'm not sure about Midlands. I was at Chattanooga when we changed this to make it an invitational instead of an open, because we were like, oh, guys can just use their date. They can wrestle their freshmen and use a date at the Scuffle, which I think makes sense. I think that was the right way to go. That way we didn't really want to run into a situation where you had a bunch of high schoolers wrestling in it all the time. So you could just make it an invitational. And I think we thought that was what was, taking people away from it, was they were wrestling guys that were a bunch of red shirts and high school guys, and those college coaches, they want D1 matches that count. That's why they're going to these tournaments. That's going to help you in seeding purposes, for qualification purposes, and I think that's really what you want when you're sending a guy to this tournament now. That's kind of why coaches do it. Maybe a guy needs the matches, and it's a little early to need the matches, but like a guy like, and he didn't wrestle this past weekend, but a guy like Ben Keeter, like he needs like a ton of matches. A guy like that where maybe he got a slow start to the season, or he was coming off an injury, and he kind of needs that tournament to get those matches. So I don't know. I think it's almost become more of a tool than like, hey, send your whole team. So coaches pick and choose. It's, oh, we're going to send this guy, this guy, this guy. We're going to sit these other guys. Instead of, it used to be you'd send your whole roster, maybe you'd send 20 guys.
Yeah.
And those were the good old days, man. I can remember being on the floor in 2012 at the Scuffle filming back when Flow Wrestling was just like on video cameras.
Yeah.
And Cliff and Roper just got like a bunch of high school kids, so me and a couple of other kids, and we were just filming, and then we'd upload the videos to the internet. It was way different now where it's live now. But I can remember I was sitting there videoing Kyle Dake and Jed Moore, Cornell and Virginia wrestling, I think in the quarters that night.
Yeah.
Friday night on the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is the coolest thing ever. And then now you're getting like, I don't know, not Kyle Dake and Jed Moore in the quarterfinals anymore.
No, I remember sitting, I think it was it had to be my senior year of high school, sitting there watching David Taylor and Kyle Dake wrestle, right in front of us. And I got, you get to sit up pretty close too. I wasn't working the camera, but seeing that match, I remember watching like Jordan Oliver wrestle up close, like so many of these guys. And yeah, it's definitely changed. And I definitely understand what you mean of like guys that are fighting for bids kind of for their conferences, especially like those smaller conferences. You get some good wins in there, and can get that potentially another bid for like, especially like the Southern Conference, which makes sense. And now it definitely has seemed a little bit more so of like, hey, here's our guys, like our future guys, get some matches in so we can kind of see what you're made of. And now we got to see, a lot of the Penn State, for lack of a better term, B team, so win the tournament. I mean, you got Josh Barr wrestling. That's only, I think, the plus from it is you get to see these guys that don't get a lot of this mat time, get to see them wrestle some pretty good matches, and even some like younger guys on the other side, even like just a lot of the future wrestlers.
Yeah, and that's a cool. I can remember Jason Nolf wrestled James Green in the finals one year, and it was when Nolf was redshirting. He didn't have a Penn State singlet on, and so, which was cool to be able to see Nolf before he was Nolf, right? Like that was really cool, and I feel like we're getting to see that now with guys like Will Hankel and Asher Cunningham and some of that younger crop that they have that still, even guys like Connor Pierce that may never crack the lineup, but he wins the scuffle. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I was going to say,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, what hasn't gone down though, I feel like, especially is the high school, like holiday tournaments. I feel like there's so many of those pretty strong high school holiday tournaments that are going on.
Better still. Like they continue to, the Ironman tournament is just, it's so deep, man. And you've got probably a few guys at the top of every weight that could wrestle in college right now and compete with a lot of these college guys right away. And it used to not be that way. It used to be where, you'd have to come into college and you'd have to be in the room for a year. And these guys just, you don't have to anymore. They're so ready right away out of high school, which, we might see a guy just come out of high school and wrestle in college pretty soon. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
see. Hey, I saw today he's on the roster, right? Or officially on the roster?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's on the roster. Let's just go ahead and check the WrestleStat, see if he's on see if he's on WrestleStat. I don't know if he will, but normally WrestleStat normally they're pretty quick to whatever is on your website gets posted on there pretty quickly. He is not on WrestleStat, which doesn't really mean anything, but
yeah, maybe they're still on break. What was your favorite tournament you wrestled over the holiday break in high school and then in college?
So we wrestled my freshman year. We wrestled in the Brecksville holiday tournament up in Ohio, which was a fun tournament. And it's still a pretty good tournament, still a pretty good holiday tournament. There were some good schools that wrestled there. I'm pretty sure we had St. Ed's there one year. I remember, the school that the Steebers went to and Cam Tassari and those guys back when they were in high school, they were there one year. Brecksville in high school was always a cool tournament. I only got to go one year, but it was when I was a freshman and we had a good senior class. We had Joey Laser was an All-American at UNI, and so he was in the tournament. I think he ended up winning the tournament. You got to watch some of those older guys do really well at that tournament. So that was cool. I really enjoyed that. And then, college is a scuffle, man. There was nothing. It was kind of already starting to, you could definitely tell it wasn't as deep. I don't see him on the Oklahoma State website. That could change. I think he's maybe on Track Wrestling on that site. But anyways, not to get off topic. You could definitely tell the depth was already starting to kind of fade a little bit for the holiday tournaments, but especially when a guy like me makes the semis. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I beat a guy that ended up being a two-time All-American
Yeah,
to
you
make
did.
it. So
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
did.
that was something. But then I had to wrestle Gabe Dean. So
Yeah.
ouch, 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 ouch. That one stung. That's one of those matches you lose, and then you go back and you alter your goals. You know, you change your goals up a
Wait
little
a
bit.
second.
You
Wait a second.
start
I
to
don't know about this
recalibrate.
year.
Start to recalibrate in your mind. Like maybe not.
I last year I got to coach at Beast of the East, and that was a cool tournament.
Nice.
I never got to wrestle in, but I thought that one was kind of fun. They got it's because it was at University of Delaware, and they got a big in the like coaches room, which I spent a lot of time in there. They have a Joe Flacco like painting. That love that
That's
guy
cool.
there. It's hilarious. We did a high school. We did the modern day tournament over in Indiana. And they had some pretty good wrestlers. They had some good guys that would go up to that one. One thing that we made the big mistake at the time, in Tennessee, I don't know, in Georgia, we think we've talked about this, but the 2 pound allowance, obviously after Christmas. For us, it was right after Christmas break, but for Indiana, it was January 1st, and the tournament was like the 28th or 29th. And so half of our team missed weight, and it was terrible, and they were pissed, and they wouldn't let us switch weight classes. And so I didn't wrestle in that tournament either. I just watched it.
Yikes!
But,
Yikes!
Stuff.
Yeah, that's the rules you need to know. That's the coach's fault there,
Yeah,
Bad coaching.
honestly, yeah. I didn't think about it back then. I was like, hey, that's your fault. But it definitely was. Definitely was.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Well,
wild.
let's get into it. We're at a good season of wrestling now. Like you said, we took a break. We're now getting into a lot of those like conference matches. We hit on it for a second, like playoff football, and then you got Friday night duels, like wrestling, some Sunday matches too.
Yeah, man,
It's a
it
time.
truly is. I mean, January and February, and I know that mostly January and a little bit in February. February is like the worst sports month of all time. It's like the absolute worst. You have the football, you have the Super Bowl, which who cares? Like it's one game. Now, obviously, it's a big deal, but it's almost become like a celebrity spectacle than it is an actual. It's like a concert type of deal. But you have the Super Bowl, but then you have nothing. Like mainstream, there's nothing. Now, for wrestling fans, it's awesome because you get these Friday, Sunday duels. It's nonstop Big Ten wrestling, ACC wrestling, Big 12 duels. It's awesome. But yeah, for most, it's not great. And, it's really fun to watch if you're just a wrestling fan. And now, depending on where you live, if you live in like Tennessee or you live in a state that offers it, there's some mainstream sports books hanging like legitimate college dual meets every single week. And it used to not be that way. I noticed it happening last year, and now they're posting a lot more lines for college wrestling duels each week. And I think you'll start to see more and more as the Big Ten schedule comes out and these guys are wrestling Big Ten matches. Like this week, we've got Iowa, Wisconsin. I'm sure they'll post something for that. They'll hang a line out there for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so looking at it right now, and this is our if you're gambling, gamble responsibly, obviously.
Of course, always.
But so right now, I mean, there's the duel that they did have that's happening tonight. We're recording on this Tuesday, January 6th. But they've got 3 out for Thursday: Buffalo and Binghamton, Kent State and Ryder, and then App State and Presbyterian. So it's pretty interesting to see like minus 12.5, minus 20.5, and then App State minus 37.5. So you can kind of see some gaps. It's a little bit interesting, and I feel like it's like just now dipping your toes a little bit into what like wrestling can be and gambling, and like I feel like there's not too much out there too right now of like where should you pick? Where are there like shifts in the line? 37.5 points is a lot of points too. It's a lot of points.
Yeah, and I think, I think the one thing holding us back a little bit is, like in football, or at least in the NFL, you have to announce like before 1:00 who's active, who's inactive, and that's a thing that could definitely hurt a lot of people when they're gambling. So that's why you want to make sure you could go say, hey, this team's way better, but they could sit 3 of their starters, and you never know. And so that's where you want to be careful. Is you could look at a line and go, well, why are they, this team's way better. Why are they this or that? And, they're projecting to have 2 starters out and you just didn't know that. So definitely gamble responsibly, but it's definitely interesting because I'm going to watch wrestling regardless. So like, it doesn't matter for me. But for a lot of people that don't, and they want to get into something and they're, a lot of people like to watch sports that they're gambling on. And I think that's what makes it exciting. Hopefully this can start to generate some people like, oh, well, I can put a little bit on this or do this and try to put these together, and I can go watch this wrestling match and put $10 on it or whatever. I do think it starts to stimulate some people that maybe wouldn't have watched wrestling in the past. Who knows?
Well, I mean, should we do Hunter Gamble's gambling corner and just give your one pick of the week, or what do you think?
I got nothing right now. I mean, I haven't really looked too hard. I mean, I know you rattled off the lines. I'm probably off anything at the prices that they are right now. Appalachian State is minus 37.5, which bids is a large number. I would say that, you kind of have to have everything go perfectly in a sense, right? And you got to get a lot of bonus. You got to get a huge amount of bonus. You got to kind of win all the matches. But also they're at 37.5, they're minus 130. So you're gonna have to lay 130 just to make 100. And so I don't know, covering a big line, like that's probably the thing I would lean towards the most, just because they consistently Appalachian State always runs their best team out there for the most part. And Presbyterian, I don't really know much about Presbyterian, but I just know how good App State has been in the past. They run a solid squad out there, and I expect them to put up a lot of points. So if I had to go in a certain direction, I'd probably lean that way, but you got to lay a big number, and that's always tough, laying a minus 130.
Nobody's gonna pick it now. You didn't have confidence in that. If we want to get sponsored by DraftKings, you got to be like, here's my pick, Hunter Gamble's gambling
stamp. Yeah, you got to stamp it. The gamble stamp. I mean, it should be. I mean, it makes sense for me to have like a gambling corner.
That's what I'm saying.
It makes a lot of sense.
And the one sport that you know most about. Yeah.
That's true. I will say, wait until later in the week. They will hang a lot more lines, and you'll have a lot more opportunity to kind of shop around and see. Don't be beholden to just like, oh, I want to watch this duel, so I'm gonna make sure and bet on this duel. You can find some edges here and there, and a great site that we use all the time. We're not sponsored by WrestleStat, but you can compare duels. You can go in there and look at rankings. You can do all kinds of stuff. So I would suggest if you are going to do anything like that, use some tools before and do some research beforehand.
Yeah, that's good. Well, this has been Gamble's Gambling Corner.
We'll pick it back up. We'll start, we'll see how we do, and then we'll start.
I'll post a picture of you with the line, and then everyone's going to do it, and all of a sudden it's going to totally change.
And the line will change, and then I'm going to go back in on the other side once everybody jumps in on it.
Right.
Get the edge.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's interesting. It'll be cool to see how that kind of evolves, and especially once we get closer to the end of the year. Well, hey, we're halfway. I say halfway just because we had the break kind of through the season, getting into really the thick of it. Let's kind of just go through each weights, talk about just a little bit of guys who have been sticking out to you, who've had some really good matches. I mean, maybe if you want to feel like guys have dropped off, but just a little bit of hey, here's some guys that I think are doing well and then are gonna still finish strong here.
Yeah,
how does that sound?
Start at 125, and I mean, the guy that sticks out the most is the guy that's that the two guys that have went undefeated but lost to their teammates, and that is Nick Bouzakis and Luke Lillidahl, right? So Lillidahl lost earlier to Nate Desmond. Nick Bouzakis lost the first weekend to Brandon McCrone. But other than that, they've been awesome. And so, and I would say Bouzakis has looked the best. When you watch him, you're kind of like, whoa, he's got an X factor that you knew was there at 133. But, man, that horsepower just looks way different down at 125. And so you worry about him making weight and kind of doing all those things and continuing to do that. But he's kind of passed all the tests so far. And, this weight is kind of shaping up to be a classic 125 season again. which is awesome because it's going to be chaos at the national tournament. But you still got your consistent guys. You know, Vincent Robinson's looked pretty consistent besides dropping that match to Ventresca earlier. And then Ventresca, you know, just won the scuffle. So, and he's dropped a couple matches as well. So we will see, and I know we'll get into this a little bit more, but we'll see Nicolas Rivera and Dean Peterson this weekend. Wisconsin and Iowa wrestling each other. So, that'll be a good battle, and you're going to start seeing more of that. I mean, you're on any given weekend, you're going to see, you know, Jory Volk versus Luke Lillidahl. Like, I mean, it's just that's just how the conference schedule goes. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be good, and I think your top, you know, 5 or 6 guys are, you know, they're gonna start wrestling each other a whole bunch. Like, is this gonna shift a good bit? I don't know, but get by the end of the year. Interested to see how V-Rob finishes out, you know, being the former or returning champ. But it's, again, like you said, shape up for a classic 125 of, like, who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if we had to pick right now, like, I'd probably pick Lillidahl to win, but, you know, part of me thinks that Bouzakis is the best guy, so I don't know. It's going to be an I would have said Lillidahl, no doubt, until I've seen the way that Bouzakis has wrestled as of late, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one at the national tournament.
Yeah, and then they might wrestle a couple times before that too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're in the same conference, so you might get a view of how that looks well before, you know, Friday night or Saturday night.
Yeah, well, let's go into 133. I feel like this is the weight class of some youngins and some stuff.
This weight class, this may be my favorite weight. 57's up there, but this may be it, man. I mean, Lucas Bird just looks like so dominant, and he's looked awesome all season. He looked great all year last year. But, I mean, Ben Davino and Marcus Blaze are coming. Mm-hmm. Those guys are awesome. And in particularly, I would say Marcus Blaze looks incredible. And I'm excited to see what he can do. Do we get a Jax Forrest? Like, that's the question. The other question is Crookham. Like, is he going to come back? This weight is so awesome. Evan Frost, always will love Evan Frost. So, you know, have to shout out Evan Frost. But, and then, like, Drake Ayala's like an afterthought. It's crazy, man. You got Kyler Larkin, just... I don't know, man. This weight is so cool. I can't wait to watch this weight at the national tournament. This will be one where, like, round of 16, round of 32 is like some crazy shit going on. Yeah.
I got to see a little bit of the collegiate duels in Nashville. Got to beat boots on the ground. I really only saw a little bit of the end of, like, the Ohio State and Iowa State.
Yeah. So
saw those big boys wrestling, which we'll get to them. But what I did see, too, had the in-laws in town right after, went to Hattie B's, shout out, nice. Hattie B's Nashville Hot Chicken, and the whole Illinois State, just University of Illinois, pulled State. Up. Yeah. Their whole team pulled up to Hattie B's after. But you know who wasn't there? Lucas Bird, because he's locked in. So
he's locked in.
Yeah, that's all.
He was off with his 6'8" girlfriend doing TikTok.
yeah, probably.
He's super locked in.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't see him. He was standing behind her. Who knows?
Yeah, probably. Big shadow. Yeah, man, he looks awesome. I mean, I probably wouldn't pick him to run it back, but, like, he very well.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one for sure.
Yeah.
All right, into 141. I've loved watching Sergio Vega. That guy is funky.
Well, I'm glad you love watching Sergio Vega because I love watching Jesse Mendez.
Yeah, he's good too. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Pretty typical weight to, like, yeah, honestly, the weight kind of fell off from last year, but you got a little bit of new blood. You know, you've got guys like, you know, Von Bauer's taken a few losses, but he kind of burst onto the scene at the end of the year last year. But it's kind of the same names in here, but maybe guys that were names a little bit further down. And then they're just kind of hanging around. I would say the one guy that's kind of that looked really good this past weekend is Vince Cornella, that has really burst onto the scene. And obviously, Sergio Vega has looked great all year, and so has Jesse Mendez. And then Echemendia has looked good, right? He's got the one loss to Mendez. So I don't know, though. It just kind of feels like it falls off pretty quickly at this weight. I feel like after Echemendia or Cornella, I'm kind of like searching for who that next guy is. And so it feels like, I'm not saying like this isn't set in stone, but like it feels like Saturday night we're going to be getting Jesse Mendez, Sergio Vega. Like, just kind of feels that way. Vega could certainly drop. I don't see Jesse Mendez dropping a match. Like, I think he's going to make the finals again, and hopefully we get Mendez Vega. But Vega has beaten Brock Hardy twice now. I think the one test you got to look out for with Vega is Echemendia, and I would even say maybe Cornella, just because he's pretty seasoned. But we'll see, man. I mean, you know, I don't see anybody stopping Jesse Mendez. But if anybody has the ability to like give him some fits, it's Vega, dude. He's so hard to take down, and guys can't take him down. He doesn't get taken down. It's nuts. It's hard to lose when you don't get taken down.
Because he just doesn't look like that. He's a little bit of a stick bug, you know. Kind of, he doesn't look like he would be as good as he is.
But he is long, and he's got such good defense, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's definitely exciting. Definitely an exciting guy to watch as far as like just his trickiness.
Yeah. Well, going into 149, who you been looking at? Has there anything been super exciting about this weight?
I would say probably one of my least favorite weights, not necessarily because of like the caliber of the guys you watch. Like Jackson Joy's fun to watch, Shane Van Ness is fun to watch. I just feel like the caliber of this weight surrounded around like 133 is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that those big time superstars at this weight that I do at like a 133. Yeah. Or a 157. So, and maybe it is the 157 factor, right? Like there's just so many good guys at that weight. But you know, Jackson Joy's burst onto the scene. He's undefeated. His only loss on the year is to Bo Bassett. So
it's just crazy.
Take that for what you will.
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously we've seen guys like Valencia, and we've seen guys like Larkin kind of burst onto the scene early and see what they can do. And then it's kind of a deep weight, right? I feel like you've got a lot of guys that are there that could like place. Like I see a bunch of guys on here that I would not be surprised if they ended up placing, but like, maybe I don't know. It's kind of a weird.
This is definitely one of those where you don't really know who's going to All-American, like for sure. Once it gets past those first few, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly. A lot of people could make that podium.
No, 100%. And yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what ends up going on with this weight. Like, I think the podium could look crazy in March.
All right, 57. We haven't got to see Meyer wrestle yet, right? I think we were hoping that he would wrestle at the Scuffle, but I know
he wrestled at Collegiate Duels.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Yeah, he beat Cannon Webster.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a tough first match back, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen him a little bit. I'm a little worried he won't qualify a spot, so we'll see about that. He's only 2-0. He's going to have to wrestle quite a bit to be able to do that.
How many matches is it?
It depends. I mean, like you have to have two out of the 3 to be able. So like you got to have a coach's rank, but you got to have a certain number of matches to be able to be eligible for the coach's rank, or to be eligible for RPI, or to be eligible for win percentage. So you got to have like win percentage. You got to be like at a certain tier on 2 of those: coach's rank, win percentage, and RPI. You just have to have a certain threshold of matches to even qualify for those. So I think one of them's like 11. I think you have to get to like 11 matches to qualify for that, but don't quote me. Don't quote me on that.
I might.
This weight's awesome though, man. I mean, you know, Brandon Cannon has looked like a different guy. Ty Waters is undefeated. Meyer Shapiro. And then you've got Antrell Taylor, who was the national champ last year. Landon Robidoux, who has only losses to Antrell, and then we haven't even mentioned PJ Duke. So, I mean, pretty crazy weight. I think this weight is those like top 6, 7 guys. I'm like, whoa, like those dudes are, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much PJ Duke climbs up once we get into these conference matches, especially because I think that he will. Well, I guess, I mean, the only one in the conference, right, is Ohio State and Nebraska above them. So we'll see. But then he'll probably wrestle Cannon Webster too. So, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, and that's how I feel like it was that way with Kasak last year. He didn't wrestle like the landscape at 57 wasn't like crazy. I guess you had Blaze in there and you had Antrell in there, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes you run into where the best guys aren't all in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I remember at 57 a couple years ago when Levi won, where like I don't think 57 was like crazy good in the Big Ten that year.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of spread out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always funny how that happened. Then other weights you have where it's like the top 6 guys are the best guys, then they're all in the Big Ten.
Right.
All right, going to 65, we've kind of got
next top.
Yeah. We said the same thing last year.
I would say the guy that sticks out is Lockett. I mean, he has to be the guy just because he beat Caliendo, but this weight is like chalk to me. Like nothing crazy has happened. It's all kind of been like your tier of 3 guys at the top.
Yeah.
Then you've got Joey Blaze, or I guess tier of 1 guy, Mitchell, and then Lockett and Caliendo, and then Joey Blaze, and then it's kind of just like, you know, throw it at the wall and something's going to happen. You know, all these guys after that could probably beat each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have to spend too much time on that one.
It's okay. A little bit
not a
same 174.
Yeah, agreed. And you know, I think even more of a drop off from Levi. And I think he's shown, you know, I think more of a drop off from Levi to Hartshula or to Kennedy or, well, I mean, maybe not to Simon Ruiz. Maybe that's the guy that's like the Caliendo or the Lockett, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, it feels like Levi is kind of, you know, he's a world champ. He's kind of separated himself, and we'll see what Ruiz could do. But I just feel like maybe Lockett gives Messenbrink. No, I'm not going to say he goes out there and like takes him down or anything, but I just think Lockett's the type of guy, he's really hard to score on. I could see him keeping that match pretty close. And I just don't know I guess Ruiz could keep the match close with Haynes, but other than that, I don't really see anybody else doing much here.
Carshall's been a little bit of a surprise just of like being up there.
For sure. He looks consistent, man. He does. Yeah. He looks, this is one of the first years he looks super consistent. And you know, he beat Singleton pretty handily in the duel. Beat him pretty good. And Singleton was coming off a big win over Pinto, and he was coming off, you know, a great end of the year last year.
Yeah. So it will be, I mean, after that drop-off, because I don't think any of them are going to be Levi Haynes unless they have a crazy end-of-the-year surprise again. But I think you're right. There's a big gap there.
Yeah. Well, we can gloss over those two a little bit, but this 184 weight, I mean, heavens.
Yeah. And we've said this a lot. I mean, now 133 is definitely one of those. But I feel like we also said this last year. Like 133 was going to be the one, and 184. Because who knows what's going to happen.
Dude, if you told me like, hey, who's the national champ 184, I'm like, dude, I got no pick for you. I've got nothing. I mean,
gambling
I would say that most people would pick Ferrari, but man, he wrestles such close matches, and I guess like whatever, that's just the way he does it. But gosh almighty, I mean, I want to watch Angelo Ferrari and Rocco Welsh wrestle each other, like, so bad. Like, really bad.
Do you think that would happen before Big Tens? Do you think they'll wrestle?
I think they duel. Don't they?
I think they do, but do you think that they will wrestle?
They freaking better.
Yeah.
They better.
They should.
I'm tired of this crap.
While you're looking that up, I do think Sinclair's just looked pretty good lately as, like, his freshman season and has kind of really fit into that. I know he had the one loss to Ferrari that was like that scramble that was wild.
Sinclair is awesome. He's so good.
He's funky. If you saw one clip of him like rolling through, then coming up and catching the guy on his back
You want to know when Iowa and Penn State wrestle?
Yeah.
Next Friday.
Oh, man.
Boy.
I'm not doing anything next Friday. Gotta make sure. I don't think so. The 16th. Gotta write that down on the calendar. That's exciting.
That is awesome.
Be some really good matches. We'll have
Seriously.
to just go into that one. But is
Listen
there
to this.
a
Listen
cutoff?
to this.
Okay.
Iowa goes 3 Fridays in a row. Penn State, Nebraska, Minnesota. Sorry, four Fridays in a row. Penn State, Nebraska, Minnesota, Ohio State.
That's why I just don't know. I mean, they want to win the duels. They want to win their duels. So I think they'll put people out there.
Yeah, I think they will too.
So.
But this weight's awesome. I want to watch all these guys wrestle each other. Sinclair kind of gets the, I don't want to say not pass. Like, the dude's going to have to wrestle really good competition, but he kind of gets the benefit of not having to go through all these guys all the time, every single weekend, and probably just showing up and being the 2 seed at Nationals or the 3 seed. Whereas all these other guys are going to kind of get thrown into a pressure cooker, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. This will be also really good, end of the year duels. See a lot of these guys wrestle each other and a lot of Big Ten guys. Couple in there that I think that's where you throw a little wrench in the plans is Sinclair there, not being in the Big Ten. And James Conway, Franklin Marshall, come on, get in there. Yep. Get in there. Let's see.
Yep, CKLV champ.
That's right. All right, 97. We saw Josh Barr back in action.
Same story. Next topic. Yeah. Dude looks insane. I don't know. I mean, he dominated Stephen Little. I don't know what anybody's going to do with this guy. So, other than that, I mean, Rocky Elam's looked good. There will be some guys kind of competing. How do I say this? There will be guys competing at a high level for, All-American, all of those things. But man, they're going to run into some of these guys, and it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly.
All right, next topic. Heavyweight, 285.
Yep, so let's get to heavyweight really quick. I was trying to look up one guy's record to see at 197 what he had.
I'll say I got to see Younger and Feldman wrestle. Younger still looks really, really good. I don't know if his style too, I don't know if Ferrari can come and beat him. I don't know. I'll be interested to see, but different conference.
Well, and he took that loss to Feldman. Ferrari did. So, not that's. I mean, whatever. He can take a loss. He can take a loss to somebody and still win when it matters. But yeah, Younger looks like the class, I would say, of the weight. Trumbull looked good. I mean, he beat Feldman in the duel.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting guy. I think this weight's pretty cool too, because Ferrari, Younger, it's all these guys that that last year were kind of oh no, Gable's coming back.
Yeah.
Oh no. Now, Younger wasn't in the weight. Trumbull wasn't in the weight. Ferrari wasn't in the weight. Volker wasn't in the weight. Gaudiali wasn't in the weight. Braxton Amos wasn't in the weight. So you kind of got all these new guys added to the weight. Braxton Amos is a beast, dude.
Yeah.
That guy gave Younger, if anybody gave Younger a close match, it was Braxton Amos. And he's going to wrestle Ben Keeter on Friday. Maybe.
That'd be sweet.
We'll see. I mean, we always say that we'll wrestle.
Well, Braxton Amos, this is his first year heavyweight, right?
That's right.
He looks pretty.
He does. He does look big. That's gonna be a good one.
Well, so we talked a little bit about, going through these weights, but let's get into the duels that we're going to talk about for this weekend. Iowa versus Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll hit on some of the highlight matches here just real quick. Obviously we touched on Dean Peterson, Nikolai Rivera. That was a big time sneeze. I had to mute that one. And then if Drake's back in the lineup, Drake and Zan Fugit will go at it. Zan was looking good and then dropped a couple of matches a few weeks ago, so we'll see what's up. We'll see what's up with him. Nasir Bailey looked horrible this weekend at Soldier Salute, so we'll see if he's in the lineup. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup. Ryder Block, Joey Zargo, that's a close match with some guys kind of in that 20 range. This Luke Meckler's a tough kid. Does he battle Jordan Williams pretty well? I don't know. Caliendo probably going to win. Kennedy probably going to win. Ferrari and Dean. And then you really get into kind of the finale and hope they finish with this match is Amos and Keeter.
Yeah, it seems like
it's Iowa heavy, right? It's Iowa heavy. They're supposed to go out there and win. But to me, there's 4 solid matchups in this duel that we could see on Friday.
Yeah. So they wrestled in Keeter and Amos wrestled in November, and it was 5-4. Is that match? Is that right? No, that's him. Right? That was Younger. That was Amos wrestling Younger. Sorry.
Yeah, and Amos was winning up until like the very end.
That's interesting.
So interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think the good thing is it looks like, kind of seems like Wisconsin's getting a little bit better than, I feel like you kind of dropped off a little bit. So hopefully,
they have solid guys at certain weights, but they're not like, their full lineup isn't like awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't have like a great duel, like, oh, we're going to go like beat you in a duel. They're kind of like, we've got like probably 3 guys that could place, type of team.
Well, let's see. What's the other one that potentially to hit on is that Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh, because we're getting into those ACC matchups too.
Yeah, and there's anything could happen at this weight, man, or in this duel, because you don't really know what you're getting with Virginia Tech. Pitt's kind of thrown the same lineup out there. Virginia Tech, they've kind of played around with what they're doing in their middleweights a little bit, and they've had some guys come in, some transfers that haven't necessarily paid off yet. Could they? We'll see. Ethan Miller wrestled down at 149 this year, or this past week at the Midlands, and didn't have a great tournament. And then, they've got Jaden Bullock, transfer from Michigan. He hasn't looked great, but can he get it done against Pitt? Sergio DeSante, he's got a tough one against Luca Augustine at 174. Max Stout, Sonny Sasso, that's a huge matchup with guys that are both ranked now in the top 10. But, Max Stout has looked pretty awesome. So you're kind of like, well, can Sonny Sasso go run him down? He's looked really good. And then Dayton Pitzer and Jimmy Mullen could be another big one. So this could actually be a close duel depending on what happens in the middleweights.
Yeah. Yeah, whether there's some bonus or not. Those last 2, that 97 heavyweight, are going to be some good ones though, because those are guys that are hanging around that like All-American status. I mean, I think these will be big ones of kind of just momentum shifters too, especially for those heavyweight guys. Some good conference matches coming up.
Yeah, great start to the conference action, and then we're gonna really get into it in the next week. I mean, Iowa, Penn State. I mean, it's Iowa, Penn State.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Well, we're gonna kind of. You got anything else to add there? I think that's a good spot to wrap it up, because, like we said, we're getting back into it, but we're really getting back into it after like this week. Apparently.
Yeah, no, good show back. We needed to get our bearings back after a brief month hiatus, but we're back. It's that time of the year, so we're ready to roll.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys listening. Stay alert on those betting lines, I guess, too.
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll keep you guys updated with some more stuff as we get here into the thick of it, into some good conference matchups, some end of the year stuff, and we appreciate you guys listening. Like and subscribe, comment, share, all the things.
Follow on Instagram. Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you guys. Bye.